Hi, welcome to Fernbank Science Center's The Sky This Week for December 1st through 5th, 2020. My name is April Whitt. I'm one of the astronomers at Fernbank Science Center. This week we'll be looking at a few bright planets, and the constellation of Orion the Hunter is starting to be easily visible in the evening or early morning sky. We start off the week with a lunar eclipse that was on November 30th, real early in the morning, and not much of an eclipse either, just barely skimmed through the outer edge of Earth's shadow, a penumbral eclipse of the moon. But the moon will be bright pretty much all the rest of this week. About 6:30 p.m. on December 1st, face the south part of the sky. If you put your right shoulder in the direction that the sun sets, that's toward the west, you will be facing the direction south. And between south and west, the two brightest objects that look like bright stars down there are the planets Jupiter and Saturn. They're larger, much larger, the two largest planets in our whole solar system. They're much farther from the sun than Earth is. If you take the distance from the sun to the Earth and say that's 1 astronomical unit, Jupiter is 5 times farther away from the sun than Earth is, 5 AU, and Saturn is 10 times farther away. Really far out there in space. It's why it takes years for a spacecraft to fly all the way out there, as we have sent several craft past those bright, large planets. They're easy to find in the early evening sky at the beginning of the week. And if you keep an eye out during the early evening sky, but maybe look a little bit more toward the east, that'll be toward your left, you can see the moon just starting to come up. It's just a little bit past full, so it's still really big and bright. And it shows an area of the sky where some of the brightest winter stars are found. There are 3 stars. Here they look like they're standing up in a little line. It's the belt of Orion the Hunter, a large constellation of bright stars visible in the evening in the wintertime. And if you've watched those real closely, those 3 stars that make the belt, there are 2 stars up here that are supposed to be his shoulders. Betelgeuse is a bright reddish colored star, a giant. There are 2 more stars down here for knees, Rigel, bluish star. It's one of them. And the 3 stars in a row can be used as sort of a marker to find different objects or different constellations on the early evening sky. If we want to not look sideways at Orion, but watch him standing up straight, as it were, in the evening and the early morning of the 3rd, looking over toward the west again, Orion will be standing up on the western part of the sky. But this time, a few days have gone by, the moon has moved along its orbit, it's in a little bit different spot, used to be down here, now it's moved over up above Betelgeuse. And right up above the moon on December 3rd, early in the morning, there are 2 bright stars that look like twins, Castor and Pollux, the Gemini twins. The moon is right in the middle of the constellation of Gemini, the twins, and it's fun to look for those too. See if you can spot those early in the morning on December 3rd. Let's try another evening shot. Look over maybe about 10 o'clock at night by the end of the week. Here's Orion again. Again, this is over toward the southeast part of the sky. Bright Sirius, the brightest star that we can see from here on the Earth. It's about 8 light years away. Light travel, well, speed of light, right? 186,000 miles per second, times 60 seconds in a minute, times 60 minutes in an hour, times 24 hours in a day, times 365 and a little bit days in a year. 1 light year is about 6 trillion miles. Sirius is relatively close out there in space, only about 8 light years away. If you want something even closer, we've got the bright planet Mars. That's just millions of miles away. not too far. But by 10 o'clock at night, Mars is high up in the southwest part of the sky. The brightest star, unless you count Sirius over here, brightest star-like looking object over there in the southwest part of the sky. That constellation Orion that we're looking at earlier, shoulders, there's Betelgeuse, knees, there's Rigel, those three stars for a belt, long hunting knife on this side, and those three stars in a row can be used, as I said earlier, as a marker to show where things are. If you follow those three stars down toward the horizon, you end up at Sirius, pretty easy. Follow in the opposite direction, you'll go past a little V shape of stars that makes the face of Taurus the bull. Keep going a little higher on the sky, and there's a tiny clump of stars. It looks like a teeny little dipper. It's not very big on the sky. If you hold your arm straight out in front of you and stick up just your pinky finger, the Pleiades is about that big on the nighttime sky. If you look at it through a telescope or with a really good camera, sometimes the Pleiades is called the Seven Sisters. It's an open cluster of stars. This one's further away, about 440 light years from Earth. So the light coming into your eyes early in the evening left about 400 years ago and is just now getting down here to Earth. Looking out into space, you're looking back in time. Kind of gives things a different perspective. Thanks very much for listening. Please keep an eye on Fernbank Science Center's website, www.fernbank.edu. Keep us in mind, watch the site for when we'll be reopening when things calm down a bit, and have a great week.